you have candidates who are refusing to do debates. This used to be very standard. It's like, yep, in Washington state, we have a formal coalition that puts on formal debates. And I think they're a great gauge for voters, especially voters who are undecided, obviously. And now you have candidates who are just saying, nah, I'm not going to participate. And then there's no teeth because the coalition isn't forcing candidates to just say, okay, either you participate or there's an empty podium, which is how it should be and which is how it has been. So a couple things. So Senator Patty Murray, who's running against Republican challenger Tiffany Smiley, has officially refused to participate in either of the coalition debates. That is a final decision that came down over the weekend. And in fact, I was speaking at an event on Friday, and Tiffany Smiley was at my table, and she was the one who told me, she showed me the press release that Patty Murray was refusing the second debate, which was supposed to be on October 25th. And, she seemed disappointed, but she did not seem surprised. And frankly, I wasn't surprised either. And then I found out all the drama that happened behind the scenes and the craziness leading up to that decision. So the coalition, as I've told you before, is made up of a number of the mainstream media organizations across the state. And the reason there's a coalition is because it takes a lot of effort to put on a debate, but also you get the best moderators, and then you have all the stations agree to televise it. So it reaches as many voters as possible. So those are the high stakes debates. Those are the most difficult debates. Those are the most telling debates. Those are the debates that you want candidates participating in. But behind the scenes, Patty Murray's team had already said, okay, we weren't going to do the October 7th debate. They were, leaving the possibility open that they do the October 25th debate. And apparently behind the scenes, I'm told they were sort of looking around for a different type of debate, like maybe someone would hold a town hall style debate or a candidate forum, something that would be less risky, that fewer people would see. And I put this in my Sunday newsletter. Cairo TV, honestly, they should be ashamed of themselves for what they did. So what happened is Cairo 7 News in Seattle went behind the scenes and put together their own independent town hall style event for the U.S. Senate race. And as soon as they did that, Patty Murray agreed to it and said she wasn't going to do the coalition debate. And you might be saying, oh, what's the big deal? Then I guess Tiffany Smiley and Patty Murray, they'll get together and they'll do this town hall style debate on Cairo TV. Well, the big deal is that this is first of all, a town hall is not a debate. A town hall style form. Who is Cairo 7 going to have in the crowd? Who are they going to put in there to ask questions? What kind of questions are they going to be? I'm not saying that citizens and voters can't ask good questions of candidates, but it's much different. It's a much different style than having two people up at a podium debating the issues and being questioned by political journalists who are very knowledgeable about what's going on. So that's one thing. But the second thing is Cairo 7 is doing this exclusive to them. So Cairo 7 has so far refused to let any of the other stations broadcast it. They're using it as a ratings boon to themselves. They totally undercut the debate coalition by having their own thing. It gave Patty Murray an excuse to dip out and to say, nope, not going to do that debate, but I'm still debating Tiffany Smiley because now I'm doing this Cairo 7 thing. And so the fact that Cairo 7, one, gave Patty Murray an out is ridiculous, and they should have known that that's what would happen. And then two, the fact that Cairo 7 will not let other stations broadcast it is so contrary to the spirit of elections and what these events are supposed to be about. You're not letting other stations broadcast it because you want everyone watching your station, and you're putting it on, and I get it. But if this is a town hall for voters, shouldn't you want as many voters to see it as possible? Like, that's just a dumb TV bullshit where it's like, competition. It's like, this is supposed to be about voters, and that's what the coalition is about. So anyway, after Cairo 7 completely undercut things, the coalition came out and said, well, we're not going to hold the October 25th debate, even with an empty podium. And they tell me that's because media organizations said, we're not going to air a podium with only, or we're not going to air a debate with only one candidate and an empty lectern next to that candidate, which I think is short-sighted. And I think any media outlets who said we're not going to air that should be ashamed of themselves because they're totally undercutting the ability to get candidates to debate in the future. So in Washington state, we've seen this with the Secretary of State's race with the Democrat Steve Hobbs saying he's not going to debate, and the coalition just canceled it instead of letting his opponent, Julie Anderson, debate. And then now you're seeing it with the U.S. Senate debate. where they're like, oh, well, if she doesn't want to participate, I guess we just won't air anything. So what's stopping a candidate down the road from just saying, well, no, I'm not participating in a debate coalition debate, because they're just going to cancel it if I don't show up anyway. And so it's not like my opponent's going to get free airtime. So to me, it totally undercuts the position of the coalition, the ability of the media to get candidates in a debate setting for the benefit of voters, because let's not forget, it's supposed to be for the benefit of voters. And so that's really disappointing. But I just had to make a note about Patty Murray. I think it's a little ridiculous that someone who has been in the Senate for 30 years doesn't want to stand up on a stage next to her opponent, who's a complete political newcomer, and answer questions from local news journalists for an hour. I mean, if you've been in the Senate that long, with the weight that she has in the Senate, you would think that that would be an easy thing to do, a very easy exercise for her. But I had to laugh because in Georgia, there is a high-profile Senate race going on there between the incumbent Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock and his Republican challenger, a Trump-backed candidate named Herschel Walker. So there was a debate in that race hosted by the Atlanta Press Club, and Herschel Walker decided not to show up. And there's headlines about, oh my gosh, Herschel Walker didn't show up. And what did they do? Well, the Atlanta Press Club didn't cancel the debate. They still had the debate, and they left an empty podium where Herschel Walker would have been. But what's really interesting is what, again, Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock had to say about Herschel Walker's absence.
I think it's important to point out that my opponent, Herschel Walker, is not here. And I think that half of being a senator is showing up.
Half of being a senator is showing up. I wonder if that same sentiment from Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock would apply to his Democratic colleague, Senator Patty Murray.
Half of being a senator is showing up.
If you've not become a subscriber to Undivided already, there are two ways you can do that, and it's as little as $5 a month. So if you think that what we're doing is important, if you find value in it, if you appreciate what we're doing to hold elected leaders accountable and to look at things through the lens of common sense, I would appreciate it if you'd become a paid subscriber to the show. That's how we're funded. This is a people-powered podcast, and you can do it for just $5 a month at patreon.com/undivided. That's patreon.com/undivided. Or you can become a contributor on my locals community, brandykruse.locals.com. Undivided is presented by our founding sponsor, 1530 Mortgage. Visit them at 1530mortgage.com.